Guys, welcome to a video in the making. I have booted the stream up just to showcase this live to all of you. I really wanted to bring you guys along. We got a very special moment here, a breakthrough in the cast on crit Warlords apparently quasi-perma berserk tech that I have been working so diligently on. I had a few comments in the last video. I do not regret making that video. I'm really glad I did because it resulted in me being able to, utilize some of the comments and help from the community to come up with something truly special here. I have taken this as far as I can, and I am now presenting it to you guys. Take a look at this. This is a juiced up map, and I want you to see this Rage Berserk uptime in action. You're seeing it right now. And you can't even see the bar hardly move. I have only pressed Berserk once. It's still rolling, still hasn't dropped down through all of these mobs. Finally, it has dropped off just now. I don't know how many seconds that was. It obviously has to drop off eventually because it just has a accelerating degen. But this is the same character I made in the last video, just with a couple minor tweaks. I didn't realize when I made the first video I was so close. I was just missing one secret ingredient. But we have the secret ingredient. The PoE is going to be linked in the description. And I'm so glad I was able to share this guy with you guys. This is something that you can do on obviously an endgame bow build character. It'll be a little bit difficult to do early game because it's going to require very high crit chance and one specific jewel. It does require a specific jewel that's actually pretty cheap. There may not be next league after this. But this is a far cry from what you saw in the first video with the Rage uptime. And, I do want to once again shout out Rutu, who sort of initiated my thought process in this when I saw him using Cast on Crit Warlord's Mark. I didn't see him quite doing what you're seeing here, I think. That could be the difference between an endgame build and a league start build. I am running basically 100% crit chance on this build. Once Brittle is taken into account. And, this map is basically done. So, just wanted to throw in a super juicy map. A bunch of Legions, 8-mod Corrupted, Beyond, a bunch of Harbingers. It's not a real strategy, but it put a lot of monsters on the map to showcase this in top form. This is what it's gonna look like to be magic finding next league. And honestly, if I could go back in time, I would have been doing this. Forget Calms. Pre-nerf. What you just saw, way more powerful than Calms pre-nerf. So let me tell you what it took on the sacrificing, because it actually did not take as much of a sacrifice as you might think it is. The secret ingredient, the secret sauce, secrets of suffering. Now, I had mentioned a moment ago that I had a community members talking to me about this, and I'm going to pull you down to show you the big breakthrough moment here. It's actually common knowledge, for some people anyway, that the way stuns work is, well, first of all, on the top line here it says non-physical damage has a minus 25% penalty to stun chance. Okay, so that's all elemental bow builds. Minus 25% penalty. Doesn't really matter if you hit hard enough. The real important line is the second one. Now, I have read this before, but I completely forgot about it. A hit that inflicts freeze cannot also inflict stun. Additionally, critical strike where player takes cold damage cannot stun, even if the hit does not or inflict freeze. So, but that's not exactly true, and there was some wishy-washy wording in there. I think based on what you just saw, we can identify how this actually works. So kind of answering maybe an age-old question here in the process. It says here that I am hard converting a little bit of my damage to cold. And therefore, in the previous video, that's why I wasn't stunning nearly as much. I wasn't able to make sense of that at the time. But now I understand that so many of my hits were uneligible to stun. Actually, almost all of them were uneligible to stun. Because again, I had almost 100% crit chance. And every shot is doing a decent amount of cold damage. So, the workaround is to remove freeze from your build. Yeah, I got a hard remove freeze from your build or hard remove crits from your build, but then you can't do that with cast on crit Warlord's Mark, obviously. If you don't know what I'm talking about with cast on crit Warlord's Mark, then watch the first video. I assume you probably came here from that video. But at any rate, you have to get freeze out of the build so all arrow shots are eligible to stun. They just got to hit, they got to hit the enemy pretty hard. It's not that hard, when you have a strong build to do that. And that is how you just saw me get basically permanent, about as permanent berserk as I've ever seen anyway, in any build I've done. And I've ran a build with 25 rage per second through comms. For anybody who might remember my champion with Vitality and Sublime Vision, that was like a 25 rage per second Calm Spirit build. That still wasn't as much rage as this build. So that's pretty insane, and again, a special moment. I'm really glad I was able to bring this to you guys. Honestly, this might be the biggest single find that I've been able to uncover in the my entire history of playing Path of Exile, to be honest. And I say that humbly after looking at PoE Ninja to see if there was anybody else doing this, and for the life of me, I checked, week 1, week 2, just trying to see people using Warlord's Mark, cast on crit. There's a few accounts here. None of them have those two tied together. Nobody has this tied together with Mana Forge support. I have a few people arguing in my chat that this was already discovered before. I'm pretty sure nobody at any point has been using... What is required to do this is at bare minimum a 5-link Mana Forge setup. It's going to require life tap so that whatever attack ability, in this case Tornado Shot, is going to be able to go out with every cast. It obviously requires Mana Forge arrow support, so life tap there. It will require cast on crit and Warlord's Mark. That's the 5-link that's basically required to get this enormous amount of Warlord's Marks being spread out onto the map. Tornado is just a very sensible, great option for a 6th link. And honestly, when I was making this build originally, months ago, I was already thinking of running a 6th link like this. I settled instead for something else kind of weird with hypothermia support and ice shot. But honestly, I was very much on the fence of already running a cast on crit 6th link with Tornado anyway, because that boosts up my single target damage. So it's just a terrific synergy there for this build. So that is kind of a major sacrifice, though. Having to get it, we get 2 6-link options, right? And then basically having to devote one of them to your main 6-link, and the other one cannot be for auras. It needs to be for this to make this happen. You could technically try to do this on a 4-link with, maybe if you had like Tornado Shot or perhaps Frenzy with cast on crit, Warlord's Mark, Mana Forge arrows, but they wouldn't go out very reliably because you wouldn't have life tap support. By all means, try it. Let me know how it goes. Anyway, that's it. We're going to keep the video fairly short. I don't want to ramble on. I'm just blown away by this. This is absolutely something I'm going to go for towards the end of the game. I have no reason to believe this won't work with Lightning Arrow as a main damage ability, but certainly with Tornado Shot, endgame Tornado Shot, really crazy. And you know what? The nice thing is, it freed up 2 gem slots. I'm not running Mark on Hit with Sniper's Mark anymore. And I also don't need any regen per second anymore either. Freed up the glove slot. Don't need any life regen. It's a sacrifice, but we get a lot in return for it. And for that much rage, you be the judge. That's going to make our zoom mapping experience a lot better. So, yep, that's it. Now, we'll get back on track to that league starter, I hope. I had to get this video out there. Alright, so that is it. That's it. Any questions? I'm going to put that on YouTube, obviously. Stun Tincture. Oh, right. Okay. All right. One last point. People keep asking about the Stun Tincture. I don't think that's going to work because it requires the enemy to be full life, and it also requires the enemy to have Warlord's Mark on it. So you tell me, how are you going to get a cast on crit Warlord's Mark on an enemy and it still be full life? That's not going to work. The only way that's going to work.